The Kel-Tec PMR-30. Let's check it out. When it comes to firearms, there's not another company that rivals Kel-Tec's just uniqueness. They come out with things that, honestly, I think no one dares to come out with. This is the PMR-30. It is in .22 Magnum. It was the first .22 Magnum semi-automatic pistol that I'm aware of, and it holds 30 round magazines. The .22 Magnum is a rimmed caliber cartridge. It's like the .22 long rifle, designed in 1959. And it just gives you about twice the power of a standard .22 long rifle. It's pretty powerful, and it's going at a pretty decent speed. But it's been very difficult to make this into a semi-automatic because of that rim. There's a lot of revolvers out there and different rifles and firearms, but the semi-automatics have always been a problem. Didn't stop Kel-Tec from bringing out the PMR-30. Now, this gun has had some issues here and there. There are people that either love it or hate it, but one of the big things is having the right ammunition for it. But guys, if you do, it is super lightweight. Again, it has a high round capacity. The sights are just over the top. And I'll tell you, it's just super accurate. But again, it was the first to come out with that .22 Magnum, and so it goes against the grain. And that's one of the things that, honestly, I admire about Kel-Tec. Now, Gunzonedeals sent the PMR-30 for this review at my request. I've been wanting to check this out. It's been out for a while. I wanted to see what it was about. I love .22 Magnum, but I've always been skeptical about it in a semi-automatic. And so we're going to check it out. The Kel-Tec PMR-30. This was designed in 2010. They make these down in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Kel-Tec is known for its really unique, very unusual designs. But one of the things about the PMR-30 is that it shoots the .22 Magnum caliber. And this is a Magnum .22 long rifle, really. It's just an extension. It's a little thicker, so this doesn't fit into a .22 long rifle cylinder. But it does have this rim, and the rim has really been an issue for .22 Magnum for semi-automatics. This is made more for your bolt action or your revolver. But when Walther introduced their WMP, and this is in .22 Magnum, I was like, okay, I want to test this out. In fact, I was really surprised. This holds 15+1. The gun is empty. I'm not going to really look too much at this right now because we have a review on this. And so I just really got interested in the PMR-30 to see what it was about. Double the mag capacity, which makes it pretty big. Another thing is it weighs under a pound. It is incredibly lightweight. And of course it has a lot of polymer, which is typical for Kel-Tec. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop our magazine, which is a hill type magazine release right here. We pull out our mag. You get 2 mags with the pistol. Check, and the gun is unloaded. Very easy to pull back on the slide as well. Very low recoil, very easy to shoot, very accurate. And so honestly, when I got this, I just like unusual firearms, and I thought, I just want to check this out. I have never, before this review, shot a PMR-30. And so this was going to be just an experience for me personally. But with that being said, there are a lot of controversy because there are some reliability issues that have happened, and so there are some things that we're going to talk about. But the one thing I do want to mention right up front is we had 2 malfunctions and we shot over 500 rounds. That does not discount those that have had issues with them. It's documented. But one of the things about this pistol is it shoots so soft. I mean, it's like a 22. It's got a little bit more power to it. And we're going to do a little comparison between 22 and 22 Magnum. So first thing is it's a polymer frame, and it's got a very soft polymer feel to it. If you've ever handled any of Kel-Tec's firearms, nice aggressive squares. The back strap is smooth, and so is the front strap, but there's a little bit of tension on the grip itself, and so it doesn't slip. It's not sticky, but it's just got this feel to it. And honestly, with the recoil, you don't even really think about the grip. It's very thick, and that has to do with getting that 22 Magnum lined up in here. But it's really thin. I mean, this is a super thin handgun. At the widest point, it's 1.3 inches. Now we have our slide up here. This part of the slide and barrel, of course, are steel, and they nestle into the frame. So it makes it a very low bore axis. And you guys, if you've watched my channel, you know I'm big on low bore axis. But on this pistol, because of the super light recoil, you know, it's not really an issue. Now you'll notice the fiber optic rear has 2 rods, and then the high vis fiber optic sight in the front, and it does include extra rods. It does have a frame safety right here, and really easy to engage. When you're going to put it on safe, you pop it up and it's that 1911, drop it down. And very clear right here with the red mark. It is not ambidextrous, but you obviously can get ambidextrous frame safety for this. It has a 6-slot Picatinny rail, squared off trigger guard, and it actually has this little bit of a nub right here. Now one thing you'll notice are these points, and they are screwed together. It's just part of the way that this is put together. To be honest with you, it doesn't affect the reliability or the durability of this handgun. And there's been a lot of documented cases about that, because a lot of people look at that and they think, man, that thing's going to come apart. But the big thing is, with 22 Magnum, it's so mild, again, with recoil. And of course, to me, the biggest appeal of this handgun, beside it being just super lightweight, is the mag capacity. I mean, it is over the top. As far as a self-defense caliber, you know, it's not the best for sure. But it's so mild on recoil that it makes those who are very recoil sensitive something to be able to have. And again, we are going to do some testing. And there are some experts that say that 22 Magnum is definitely in that self-defense category. Much greater than your standard 22. But one of my favorite small little revolvers is the model 351C from Smith & Wesson, and this is in 22 Magnum. It is an airweight, it is incredibly light, and there are times when I'm walking the dogs that this gets stuck in my back pocket. Now Kel-Tec also offers their CMR-30, which is a carbine length. It has a collapsible stock, it has a 16-inch barrel, but it has the same grip module type design, and so this could be a good companion for the CMR-30. The slide's very low to the hand, but it has these large, aggressive pulls on the polymer, which makes it really easy, very easy to pull back on the slide. It does hold open on the last round. And it's just one of those guns that is just so unique and so different. It looks really unorthodox. It definitely has a complete different look, but in the lines of Kel-Tec, which tends to go that direction. But I'm going to tell you what, guys, once I took it to the range, a lot of my thoughts on this pistol changed. The shootability, the accuracy you're going to see. It's just a pleasure to take out. And one of the things I like the best is the fireball that comes out the end. For some reason, 22 Magnum in this, it just really puts out a large fireball. The barrel is 4.3 inches, and we're going to put it on the scale, but it weighs about 15.2 ounces unloaded. The magazines are polymer. They do have witness holes. You can see if the gun is loaded. It almost looks like an anodized finish, and then it has a small base plate that's black with a little bit of a lip that comes out and meets down here at the bottom of the grip. It's really different, especially with this mag release. You can see how it works. It just kind of pops out like this. But really, it's fairly intuitive once you get used to it. And it took me a little while to remember it. But One of the things about this handgun though is the reliability, and I do want to talk about that a little bit. We did have two malfunctions. One was a failure to eject. It extracted the round, it pulled it out to throw it out, but it didn't quite just pull out that brass. We did have one malfunction on that one. It just didn't quite eject the round. The second was a failure to feed. In fact, it locked back, but the round was still in the magazine. In fact, I didn't even know it at first until I looked down into it. I thought I was out of rounds. But out of 500 rounds, the two malfunctions, and honestly, they were pretty early on. And then it just seemed to just kind of break in, and we didn't have any problems after that. Now, one thing that I didn't realize until after the range time is that we were using some CCI A22 35 grain 22 Magnums, and both of the malfunctions were using the 35 grain. Again, Kel-Tec recommends 40 grain. Another thing about malfunctions and what Kel-Tec says is you need to make sure that the round is seated toward the very back of the magazine. And again, we're going to put it in these lips right here, and as you put it down, just make sure that it goes all the way as far back as it will. Of course, you're going to ride that rim on the next round, but you still need to make sure that it's pushed all the way back. And then after 5 rounds, take it and just bump it on your hand. And what that does, it just forces the rounds to the rear of the magazine. Those are two things right off the bat that you really need to make sure that you're doing before you blame the Kel-Tec for the malfunctions. Again, this round is very difficult to master in a semi-automatic and designed for a semi-automatic. And so if you follow those rules, that's going to give you a better chance at good reliability. But there are some remedies to this, and that is Carbo designed. Carbo does a great job, and they have a whole kit that you can put into this. The only problem is it runs about half the price of the pistol. But Carbo, I've had a lot of experience with those guys, and they do a great job. And there are some small things you can do to this just to make it even more reliable. Now, as far as size comparison, we have the 22 Magnum in the middle. We have a 22 long rifle. You can see that there is a considerable bit of difference between the size of the shell. The 22 Magnum is just a touch thicker in diameter, and that is really purposeful to keep you from putting either one of these in the other. And then we have the 9mm just for size reference. One of the big things about these two as far as the difference is you get overall about 60% more velocity with a 22 Magnum, and you get about 2.5 times more muzzle energy. Okay, with the Kel-Tec PMR-30, we're going with the Maxi Mags from CCI. This is a hollow point, it's 40 grains. We have a Browning Buckmark, and this is the CCI Mini Mags, 40 grain, hollow point, and this is in 22 long rifle. All right, we were using one of the clear ballistics gel blocks. These things are awesome, great way to test your ballistics, and I highly recommend getting one, testing your self-defense loads. Clear Ballistics did send this for this review, and the 22 long rifle penetrated about 10 inches. There was some deformation, but it was about 1 millimeter off the sides, and it was flat at the front. When it came to the 22 Magnum, we went all the way through the gel block, which kind of surprised me. I didn't really think it would go past. So 16-inch block, it went past the 16 inches, but we weren't able to retrieve the bullet, so we can't really compare them side to side. But we definitely see the velocity of the 22 Magnum excelled the 22 long rifle by quite a bit. As far as the trigger action, just a touch of take up. I mean, you can see it doesn't go far. We hit a wall, and then a really crisp, nice break. You'll notice this trigger stop here on the back, and so it keeps it from going all the way back to the frame. As far as reset, right there. Guys, I'll tell you, I was very impressed with the trigger, and it allowed for really good accuracy in conjunction with the barrel, but this really surprised me. Trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds, 1.7 ounces. 3 pounds, 3.1 ounces. Weight on the PMR-30, 15.4 ounces. This thing is incredibly light. Shooting Federal, 40 grain, full metal jacket, and also some CCI and this is game point 35 grain. Now back here are two smaller indentions. Don't load from the front. Just get right here like you're loading an AR, push down, and then push it back. And then about every 4 to 5 rounds, just bump it against a hard surface to make sure everything's settling. And really that has everything to do with this rim. It's pretty amazing that you can load these 30 rounds with a rim case. Guys, like I said, this is the first time I've had any experience with the PMR-30. 22 Magnum, it's so soft to shoot, so lightweight. It almost feels like a toy, it's so light. The fiber optic sights are just fantastic. And the fireball that comes out of this is just impressive. And of course, 22 Magnum is going to be a little bit cheaper than some of your other rounds. But we've already been shooting this quite a bit. We had one issue, it was a failure to extract. Otherwise, we haven't had any problems whatsoever. And been using different type ammo. But a really small slide just comes back. I'm telling you, this thing just is so narrow and it fits so well in your hand. And I love the fireball. Makes it nice that you have fiber optic sights so you can see your sights after shooting that. But for those that are recoil sensitive, this would be a great gun that has a little extra power over 22 long rifle, and yet it's very easy to shoot. Kel-Tec, you know, has really done well with this, and they do have those they have funky designs. I mean, they definitely are, they go to a beat of a different drum. But I love new technology. It's one of the cool things about Kel-Tec. They're not afraid to put whatever out there. That hill mag release takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's not bad. What do you think?
I love it. It's a lot of fun, but feels powerful without blowing your hand off.
It really is soft to shoot. It's so lightweight. I'm definitely a fan, and I haven't always been. It just has that weird look to it. But man, it's cool.
It's like something you would see in an alien movie.
Wow. Now for disassembly, go ahead and drop your magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded. This is your takedown pin, and you'll notice that it's a little bit wider here than it is on the other side. So this is the way we're going to push it through. So we're going to take this pin and we're just going to push it out. And it comes all the way out. Now you'll notice that it does have a slight groove in the bottom, and it has a lip here. And the groove right here is what retains the firing pin to the recoil spring. Next, we're just going to go ahead and pull forward on our slide, and honestly, this is most of the weight. This thing is featherweight. Now you want to take out your recoil spring, so I take a small screwdriver and just get right at the top of the spring. And what I want to do is bring it out and up. And then when you bring it up, just make sure that you have your hand on here so you can capture it, but here we have our recoil spring. It is a dual recoil spring, and it is a steel rod. Now we have a small buffer that fits right here at the front. And so this is just going to give you a little bit of cushioning. I will say that these wear out fairly quickly. Incarbo makes a great buffer that you can get, or you can get replacements from Kel-Tec. So we're going to pull that out. And then you want to pull your barrel forward. Now this is your locking block mechanism, and once you get it here, you can pull it out. And you'll notice that there are grooves that correspond with the ledges in this locking block, and this is where you put it off and on. And so then we have our barrel, and you'll want to make sure you know the orientation of the barrel. Really, it only goes in one way. The extractor recesses they're set toward the top, and that fits at the top of the slide. And then we just pull our barrel right out. Barrel has a little bit of a bulb right here, comes down, thickens up, and then you have these blocks that actually fit into the locking block. Now this is your feed ramp, and it's built into the frame. And so you'll see that this just fits up next to it. But the frame is pretty much encapsulated. It is hammer fired, it is not a striker fire. And that's probably one of the reasons why the trigger pull is so crisp. But overall, it's very simple. Here the slide, you just have that metal part of the slide, and then you have this overmold with the polymer. And again, it's very simple. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. We're going to go back in reverse order. Now, reinserting your barrel, just make sure that these little grooves right here that fit to your extractor are in the up position, but it would be down against the slide. So we're going to go ahead and put our barrel in, and we're not going to go all the way back because we have to line it up to where it'll line up here with these corresponding grooves. And you'll notice these little cavities that fit inside those points on the barrel. And it only goes one way, and we've got it set. So just bring it all the way back. And we're going to install our buffer. You notice these little cavities. You want to take those little feet and put them in, and you want the flat side to be facing the muzzle with these little cutouts facing you. And then take the larger end of the recoil spring and put it against the slide, just like that. And then we're going to bring in our spring, and hopefully it'll go forward, just like that, and then drop it back into the assembly. Make sure the recoil guide rod kind of comes out the end. Now you're going to bring it back over your slide, but you'll notice that the rails are actually right here, part of that locking block. And so we're going to bring it in, and once we get it lined up, take and push it in from the left side. There we go. And we're ready to go. Comes in a nice plastic box with Kel-Tec logo. Then we have the handgun, extra magazine, chamber flag. You have some extra fiber optic rods for your sights. And we have a lock. Well done owner's manual, and you get Kel-Tec stickers. The retail price on the PMR-30 is $495. On Gunzonedeals, they're running $429. Let's talk about a couple of the advantages and disadvantages of this handgun. Number one, it's a rimfire caliber. It's very soft to shoot, very low recoil, holds 30+1 in the magazine, which is huge. Very lightweight, great sights, just great trigger. And then with the design of the barrel, the way it sets, it's going to just inherently be accurate. And then also you do have the CMR-30, which is the carbine version that you could mate with this if you wanted to. 22 Magnum is less expensive than a lot of other centerfire calibers, which is also a big plus. There are getting more and more self-defense type rounds to use with these, and you have some decent ballistics. And for those who are really recoil sensitive, this could be a possible carry gun. It could be a possible home defense gun. This one, again, we've shot about 500 rounds through it. We had a couple of malfunctions. They were different malfunctions. But I have heard quite a bit of different people having problems with these. Again, 40 grain bullet is what you need to go with. The heavier the better. It just allows this to function better. But it's still out there, and so if you're really wanting something that you're going to carry and depend on for self-defense, I would highly recommend going in carbo upgrades to make this really just very reliable. For us, we've had very good success. And really, to be honest, that is the only really con, except for the looks. It's definitely, again, very unorthodox, a different kind of look to it. But beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And guys, if it's a tool, it's a tool. And if it works, it's great. So there's a lot of pluses, a couple of minuses, and we'll check those out over time. Because this is one gun that I am definitely going to be keeping. I just love shooting it. We had the most fun at the range with this gun, including Sarah Mac. I mean, we really enjoyed it. So the Kel-Tec PMR-30, it's definitely a different bird. I mean, it's totally different than anything that I've ever experienced. And really with that 22 Magnum, it just gives you some different capability that we're not getting with other handguns. Now with the Walther WMP coming out, there's going to be some competition, but yet it's a totally different handgun. And the one thing about the 30 round capacity, it gives you a lot. There are some finicky things about the PMR-30. If you want really good reliability, the quality ammo is one of them. But there are going to be guys in the comments that love this gun. There are going to be those that hate them. There are going to be those that have never seen this. Personally, I'm very impressed with this handgun, which I didn't think I would be. Really, this is a blast at the range. The low recoil, the fireball that comes out of the end, and that accuracy. Honestly, it shocked me. And again, we really appreciate Nate over at Gunzonedeals for sending the PMR-30 for this review. It's been a great experience. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. But I have heard and continue to hear that if you want 22 Magnum, fudge all that bull. And we really appreciate Gunzonedeals for keeping us in the gun stunchy. I'm a fan of 22 Magnum already. Of course, your C for carbon. Okay. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Earthquake. And functionality, you know, really?